The topics we discuss are many, no story too bold to talk about. Strictly our own opinions, but they are opinions from people like you. Welcome to the NAKE'd podcast. How's it going, everyone? This is Marco.
This is Ethan.
Kielyn.
Norma.
DM Tech, I hear Alan.
So, guys, have y'all watched South Park lately?
Nah.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the new season.
Not really.
I never really watched an episode.
Since when? Oh, you never seen an episode before?
Since ever.
I was never a real big fan, but for some reason this season I've been keeping up with.
South Park is no stranger to controversy, and this recent episode they did was fucking...
You mean like when Hitler banged the devil on TV?
Dude, I had nightmares
wasn't it
about
Saddam
that.
It was Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein. Yeah.
Yeah, I had nightmares about that.
Yeah, come on. They do what they do for the outrage. They love it.
Yeah.
And he also gets people to think Saddam fucking Satan, but that was back then. Right now, their latest episode was them basically poking fun at different aspects of transgender athletes, specifically male to female transgender athletes, going to these sporting events and dominating these the natural woman, a cisgender, I guess, woman would be the right term for it. And South Park it does what it always does. It fucking makes fun of it. There's other points to it too, but like the way it does it is.
So what I was reading, I didn't watch that episode, but I was reading about it because I wanted to see kind of both sides to it.
Yeah.
And the part it pokes fun at is that the women who are competing in that competition, they felt like they couldn't say anything about the transgender man who was in the image of like Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Macho Man. Randy
Yeah.
Savage.
Macho
Rest in
Man.
peace.
Who was
Macho
super
Man.
ripped because they didn't want to be called like transphobic or being bigots.
Although I do like the fact we saw a clip of it here just before we started recording. I do like the fact that the reporter makes sure, like, are you sure you don't want to talk about it? Okay, she's not your regular trans. Okay.
So everyone should at Marco if they're Team Strong Woman or Team Hillary Swanson.
Yes, the it's gonna be at @MA_NAKEDPod. Really, I think I love this episode. It made me fucking laugh so hard. There's other parts to it too. There's like parts that are like what's going on with the kids and everything. You know, they have their own gaming session going on, but they don't want to invite the girls, and the girls create their own. It becomes amazing.
Yeah, because girls cheat at games, just like how Norma cheated at Uno earlier and won.
I went fair and square,
You
number
cheated.
one. And I won at Catan the other night twice, Marco. So
Boom.
And
what?
now you know why Carmen wanted to ban girls from their board game group.
Because we're too good. That's why.
So how did Kenny feel about this?
Kenny hasn't been in this season at all. He hasn't been in for a while. They actually
Killed him
didn't
off.
bring him
Hold
back.
on.
Fuck.
He
They killed
actually-
Kenny.
Yeah,
Those
Butters.
bastards.
Butters really took his place 2 or 3 seasons ago.
I like Butters. I've never really watched South Park before this season. Like, I remember growing up seeing it, but I didn't really care for the comedy and the humor. It wasn't my taste. But since we have Hulu and they put out new episodes, it's like, oh, okay, let's keep up with it now. And they're funny.
I just love how PC Principal hates Butters so much. He's so accepting and nice to everybody, but he hates Butters.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
It was because the one episode where Butters went against him. It was like a couple seasons ago.
I haven't caught up with really caught up with South Park because they used to be just so like on the fucking they were on the the blade, you know. They would fucking cut deep and just like, all right, this is what's going on. We're gonna fucking poke fun at it. They didn't care if you're left, right, modern, back. It doesn't matter.
So how serial are you? Are you super serial or are you
I'm super ethereal.
I'm
Man Bear Peg is
serial.
real.
I just like that South Park has gotten to the point where they're not letting politics dictate comedy.
Well, it's the same thing
or
with
cancel
their...
culture.
Right. Or
Yeah.
it's the same thing with what happened in China. They poked fun at China and they were like, okay, well, that's just who we are. We're not going to bow down to a foreign government.
Yeah. This is a very sensitive subject because this is actually happening right now, in the U.S. These transgender women who are going into sports and they're beating the natural women. And while we want to be inclusive, you need to at least be equal with the people that you're competing against. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're on equal grounds, because all women are different.
Well, it's just like basically everyone. I mean, not every man is athletic. Not every woman is athletic. But there are cases. I mean, of course, our men's physiology especially after puberty, really does give them an advantage even after the transition. Whereas when they're younger than 13, before puberty, I'm always guessing puberty always after 13. That's me. But
so if they made a rule that said if you've ever tried to compete in or some form of professional sport, so like say I tried to go be a professional baseball player. I tried to go be a professional soccer player, right?
Yeah.
And I tried out for the men's team. I didn't make it. So then later on, a few years later, I transitioned to a woman. Should I be allowed, or should I be not? You know what I mean?
I would say you should be allowed to try out for the women's team if that's what you're trying to do.
see, there's got to be a split. There's always a split whether or not to do it or not.
I feel like I wouldn't say, because to your point, like a natural woman. Like I don't really particularly care for that term. I think it's biological woman. Like women are different. I agree with you. A man's physiology is way different than a woman's physiology, and there has to be, if we're going to be inclusive, we have to put some limitations here. So like in the South Park episode where Randy Savage was this big ripped
It's Heather
up,
Swanson.
Yeah, Heather Swanson. She was like this big ripped up,
It's ma'am.
Yeah, it's ma'am. Character. I don't feel that was fair to the other women that were competing in the championship. If there has to be weight restrictions or size restrictions or something like that, if you want to be inclusive, I understand how some people could say, well, men are just stronger than women and they have different, when they work out, they have different biological things. But if they're taking hormones, then aren't they, to an extent, have a lower testosterone level and a higher estrogen level?
I can agree with that. And to really get down into the science of it, there's different types of body types. Like not all men can just build muscle easily. Same goes for women.
So that's when it comes down, some of the things I was thinking about. Okay, so like Special Olympics, right?
Yeah.
We make concessions in certain sports or do certain things for them because of medical reasons. And I see transitioning as more of a personal choice than it is a medical choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a personal choice, yes, but they still do need to get the medication for them to
but I'm saying there's no medical reason for you need to transition. You know what I mean? So like if you say I want to be a professional MMA fighter, but because of a dire medical need, I had to transition, I should be able to compete in this sport. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I kind of see what you're saying. So your life was not being threatened by you continuing to be a man or a woman,
like that, yes.
and then you had to change your gender.
Yeah.
So Special Olympics is different because you were, technically born.
I don't know
like
where
that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, coming back to Heather Swanson, right? There was no medical need for the transition, so why is she in women's sports when she should be in men? She could compete in men's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Especially because she
Does that make
transitioned just to throw it in strong woman's face that, oh, I can beat you at this because now I say I'm a woman.
Yes, in the show, Heather Swanson was the former boyfriend of Strong Woman, and his motives to transition were to destroy her life.
That was the point of that part of the show. That was the joke of it, and it just poked a lot of other jokes pertaining to that, though.
But let's also shine a light on. She literally said that she was a woman 2 weeks before that supposed interview on South
She's
Park.
not going to talk about.
We don't talk about transitions.
Yeah. Oh,
She was
she's
there
not
to
here
kick
talk
some
about
fucking
transitions.
ass.
Okay.
I can kind of see your point, like how that was the point that South Park was trying to show or jab at that political correctness, because the women of that competition, they couldn't.
It's not fair,
They couldn't say anything,
There
or they
was-
felt like they couldn't.
Right, there was a cyclist back in June named Rachel McKinnon who won the UCI Women's Master Track World Championship for the women's 35 to 44 age bracket. She blew the competition in that race, and the third place winner, I have the name right here, Jennifer Wagner. She had complained on Twitter well, of course she won, it was unfair, and then they kind of got into a Twitter battle, and then McKinnon, the transgender cyclist, tweeted that Jennifer Wagner had beaten her in races 11 out of the 13 times they've raced together. So it's not saying there was a distinct advantage. I mean, this Jennifer Wagner, she had beaten Rachel McKinnon multiple times before, but now that she's she's won a few races. All of a sudden, there's controversy.
And listening to some of this and how it's coming back, I think a lot of it comes down to certain people are just they're fighting it, right? Like, why can't that what was their name again?
Rachel McKinnon.
Okay, if Rachel would just say, yes, I might have an advantage, but sorry, I think it would be a totally different, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
not
I
so.
can
Just kind of own it a little bit. Like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, but instead of saying, no, it's your fault, you're a bigot, it's just like, really?
Well, she wasn't really getting after her about being a bigot. She was just trying, like, she was getting after her for winning. She was just saying, well, why are you getting after me for this? But I can see the point in that, though, like, because no one wants to be seen as a bigot, which is also the other funny joke about South Park. Like, they're too afraid to say anything. Everyone's too afraid to say anything. Otherwise, you're going to be called a hater, a racist, a bigot.
Yeah, it's cancel culture.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real.
That's if you get called out, just say, oh, my bad. And I can't control that. Sorry.
Well,
Get over it.
There's been times where I've said things that probably weren't as PC or, sensitive as they should have been, but people have said, hey, this is kind of like my preference or my pronoun. And I said, oh, okay. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know.
You said something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that should be the end of it. It shouldn't be, oh, then you're this or you're that because you used the wrong word. I genuinely didn't know. Thank you for educating me. And I
Yeah.
won't do it again.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a fucking manhunt.
I just spreading more hate's gonna get us nowhere in this.
Instead, we're going okay boomers over here. And
And then some of the thing I guess that's really turned a lot of people off about the subject is because even if like you just try to have a civil conversation like that and try to get to a point, well, okay, just at this point, just tell me what you want to be called and we're good. Don't keep telling me how wrong I am because I made a mistake.
it's a tricky subject. It really is. It's just,
But it shouldn't, and it shouldn't be, and that's, I guess, people have to stop inflating the subject.
well, I mean, you say it shouldn't be, but that's just in simple terms. Like, what is, like, simple to you then? What would be simple to, like, what would make sense?
It's simple. If I accidentally say, like January, if I accidentally said, him, and I didn't mean it, and then if she said, oh, well, I prefer if you called me she, I would say, my bad, and I would make the effort to call, or to say she from then on.
To be conscious of it.
To be conscious of it, yeah.
Yeah,
up, Kielyn?
don't belittle my ignorance.
Yeah.
It's not
But-
trying to be rude or anything like that.
Yeah, because if January started going at me and down talking to me
How
because
dare you,
I
or-
made a mistake, then it's just like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna make the mistake on purpose now.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think when people feel bullied or packed into the corner, their experience with somebody who is of that, whatever it is, will say equate that experience with something negative. So, oh, man, like I really didn't know, and I got totally called out, or it was just a moment of ignorance, and I just want to know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider it ignorance, because ignorance is you willingly ignoring information. You just didn't know the information, so we can't necessarily call it ignorance.
I think it's ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance
Okay.
isn't willfully ignoring. That's
blissful ignorance.
yeah.
There is no such thing as blissful ignorance. It's
I
just
beg to differ.
ignorance.
I've been ignorant to a lot of things.
That's just being a dick.
Yeah, I agree. That's
Marco,
just being a
you're a
dick.
dick.
What?
Athletes that that are competing, whether they're biologically male, biologically female, so neither of them can use like steroids, right? So like steroids is seen as an advantage on the field if you use steroids. So like, would it being like a biologically male in a woman's competition, is that seen as a advantage? And I would love to know what everybody thinks about that. Like, I feel like we've all discussed our opinions, and I want to know what our listeners think.
An example I have is Oscar Pistorius. Do you remember that? Do you remember this man?
No.
No.
He was the runner with the amputated legs.
So he lost his legs and he had like bionic legs, and he was like a runner?
Yeah, he was a runner.
Okay.
And he was denied racing because they said that his prosthetic legs gave him a clear advantage. But in 2013, they reversed that, saying that like while he does have an advantage while running in a straight line, it's less weight, there's less energy. he has limitations or doesn't have really much advantage, a lot of disadvantages starting the race, and also in the acceleration points. So the pros, I mean, he has pros, he has an advantage, but that doesn't outweigh the disadvantages that he has. So they clowned it as he doesn't have a clear advantage, and I like to look at that point from a transgender athlete kind of point. They have pros, yes, but they're going to have cons as well. They have to take hormonal medicine like TUEs, therapeutic eugenic or something like that, to where they can have the same kind of muscle, the same kind of energy as a biological woman. Biological woman, yes.
But look at it this way. Like, say we're playing Uno, right? Or actually, let's say we're playing Speed. And even like say I like to win in Speed because of my nails, right? So should that make me disqualified from playing Speed?
No, not at all.
I feel like that's like the same thing. It's like
but on the
stacking
flip side,
rolls.
how many people in here will act, if you say let's play Speed, how many people are going to jump at the chance to play Speed with you?
I would. I'd beat her.
I love playing Speed.
Okay, so 50%. But
I play
that naturally
75%.
75%.
okay.
Way to ruin the math.
Everybody has to jump on the bandwagon.
But I get what you're saying. Like you maybe you're a competitor of the runner who had those bionic legs, and you're like, well, he doesn't have as much weight, and if he wins, how much of it was skill.
If you have a problem with the situation, you should be able to remove yourself without having your career destroyed. Just say, you know what? I don't want to fight. I don't feel comfortable fighting this man who's transitioned to a woman in an MMA fight because I seen him beat in 3 other women's face. I don't want to fight that. And you should be able to say that without being a transphobe.
That's basically what the episode of South Park was trying to do at the very end. Just like maybe we can kind of talk about the nuances and just have an actual discussion. They try to end it like the sweet note, which was very kind of iffy for me, but I kind of liked it. And I thought like how we're doing right now, talking about it, no bigotry, no like, oh, you're leftist or rightist or you
we
hate
have to
gender.
open a dialogue. I mean, there's so many things going on in our government right now where we have to have some type of conversation.
As always, thank you for listening to the NAKE'd Podcast. We release new episodes every Friday. If you like what you heard, please follow us on Spotify or give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. You can also check out our Patreon at officialmillennials.com. This is Alan.
This is Norma.
Kielyn.
Eat it.
Marco.